This is the Brisbane Lions Fancast, and we're about to play the second part of our interview with Lions National Talent Manager Rob Kerr for this week. We hope to get him on a few more times throughout the trade period and afterwards to talk about everything, but this is our chat with him from this week. Next Monday is a pretty important day. Not only is it the start of the trade period, but it's also the bidding day for academy players. Can you give us an indication of how many academy players you guys are currently intending of bidding for on Monday?
Well, look, I would have thought there'd only be the one that we'd bid on. Again, it's we've obviously looked at the whole of the country and the talent pool across the whole of the country for the year. We've got in mind a number of players we'd like to bring into the club and add to the list this year. And I suppose, going through that process when we've benchmarked the Queensland and academy talent and their performance over the course of the year relative to the other players across the country. I think there'd probably be one player that we'd like to bring in through the academy. But having said that, there's also a couple of other players. Just because we don't bid on them on Monday, for argument's sake, doesn't mean that you may not draft them on draft night, or you may not, if you don't draft them, rookie them come the rookie time, because the fact of the matter is you're committing a draft pick on Monday. If another club bids, and let's say they bid their second round pick, well, that's your third round pick wiped out of calculations for trades and the like. So probably got to be a little bit mindful of the fact that we're in a position where we may well be involved in some trades, and we need to make sure that we've got something to work with on that front.
Rob, is the academy producing the sort of talent you'd hoped for at this early stage?
I think the academy. Look, if you got two a year out of the academy onto your senior list, you'd probably be you'd be ecstatic, really, because I think you only got to look at the Swans. Most of the New South Wales players that are on their list have currently come through the rookie draft, and even Kerr and Jack, for example, and some others, and I don't think I'm being unfair in saying that a lot of the New South Wales and Queensland boys, in terms of their football development, they probably are, a year behind the rest of the talent pool. So it's just the fact that they're not coming out of an environment where AFL football is the be-all and end-all, and they haven't necessarily been through the really high-level talent programs that a lot of Victorian, South Australian, Western Australian kids have. And even with something as simple as, they're not playing kick-to-kick every day of the week at school. Those sort of things all add up. So to answer your question, I think the raw talent's there, and I think the academy's job is to refine and develop some of that talent, and I'm pretty confident that it'll really do its job over time in producing footballers. And as I say, I think the more than likely be one that'll come onto this year. One of the areas where it really does offer some excitement as well is in athletes from other sports. So there's been a few players that our Cohen ID man, Ash Drake, identified from rugby league and basketball, and we've worked very hard at introducing those players to AFL football and trying to develop them as footballers, because it's not necessarily the case that in Queensland or New South Wales you get the first choice athlete. Often, just by nature of the sports that are available to the kids as they're growing up, the first choice athletes would often find their way to rugby league or rugby union, that type of thing. So even though Queensland's producing very good footballers and will continue to do so, in Victoria, pretty much all the first choice athletes go to Australian rules football. In those non-traditional states, it's a bit more dispersed across the different sports.
Are you able to let us know who that player you're interested in bidding on Monday is?
No.
You're not able to do it yet? Okay, that's all good. People can speculate on that. On Brent Staker, Carlton have suggested that they think the deal is just about done at Brisbane, I think, or that he's definitely a required player up here. Can you let us know how those negotiations are going?
Yeah, we've had a lot of dialogue with Brent and his manager, and we've continued to emphasise that Brent's a valued player at Brisbane. Despite some of the speculation, Brent had an offer on the table that certainly provides him security for the next 2 years. And we continue to work through that. I think we're fairly close. I'm not aware of you giving me some news there. So Carlton did something along those lines. Is that the case?
Yeah, they did. The Carlton recruiting manager Shane Rogers was on AFL's Trade Radio on Wednesday morning.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I've missed that because we've been tied up in interviews and the like. But the indications I've had are that Brent does want to stay, and really it's just a matter of finalising the details of that agreement, and that's something we'd hope that we could do over the next couple of days. He's currently overseas, but with his manager in Melbourne, that's something we can continue to progress.
So sorry, Rob, we know you're a busy man, but just before we let you go, just to clarify there, I think there was a little bit of confusion when Brent's name was linked to Carlton a week or two ago around the terms, saying that Brisbane's policy was offering 1 year to him and he may have been looking for some more security. Were you saying there that he will have a 2-year contract, and that's, I guess, what may have helped things there?
Well, the Brisbane board has a policy that when players are over 30, their preference is to have 1 year deal, have contracts go 1 year at a time. That can be revisited if you go to the board and seek approval for a variation of that. But Brent's actually 29, he's not 30. He does have an offer on the table, which is for 2 years.
Just one final question. I put out on Twitter we were getting you on the show. Ask for any questions. Zoblitz has tweeted. He wants to know if any players do end up leaving the club and requesting a trade, will the focus be to get draft picks for them, or do you have more of a preference to get other players from clubs?
It's a good question. I would say that one of our objectives, and bear in mind that trade week or trade month, as it more or less is now, is a pretty unpredictable beast, and as you know, sometimes things don't get sorted until the very last minute. But just looking at where we're positioned at, and talking to Justin, who's very big on bringing a strong development focus to the club, and he's made it very clear that he values high-level talent. So I would think one of our objectives would be to improve our position in the draft. So that would mean we'd be trying to, get ourselves up the order as far as draft selections go. And also, the other thing that we won't find out till Monday is, do we lose a third round or a second round or a fourth round pick, through the academy bidding process. So overall, one of the keys for us would be to improve our draft position. The other thing is, we are a young list, and I know it's not great news for Brisbane supporters that we have got these young players who have expressed the desire to move home. But I think when you strip it back, our core group is still a pretty good group. There's still the core of a good team on our list at the moment. And maybe one of the things we have to think about too is, well, do we want to bring? Is it better for us to bring in 4 youngsters and then fill the other list spots up with 1 or 2 more experienced players, or if we did trade, do you want to be in a position where you potentially bring in 6 young players? Now, I think the issue you face if you bring a lot of young talent in at one time is they have a lot of expectations of these boys about playing senior football and the like, and it also requires a significant amount of resources if you've got a large number of young players. So I would think we'll try and get a bit of a mixture of improving our position in the draft order and also maybe trying to find 1 or 2 experienced players who can have immediate impact and add to our group.
Well, thanks for joining us on the show today. All the best for the start of the trade period next week, and we'll have a chat to you soon to see how things are going. Yeah,
I'm happy to maybe be a bit more open and forthcoming once we've got it all out of the way. But as I'm sure you can appreciate, there's some things you just have to hold a little close to your chest as you work through this whole process.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thanks for joining us today.
Great, thanks, guys.